Hello everyone, my name is Ark and welcome back to another SH Figuarts review. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at FRIEZA's first form and his FRIEZA pod. So, this guy is actually a second-hand figure. So, he has already been taken out of the box and all that kind of stuff, but I was able to get him for a pretty good deal, and here he is. So, just to sort of show, again, he's already open and secondhand. I did check him and everything already just to show it here, but I put him back in the box and whatnot because that's how he originally came. And I also wanted to make this video before the re-release or the reissue of this guy came out later next year. So again, if you are looking to get one, he is being re-released. But for me, this was a deal to that I couldn't pass, so I wanted to get him. But without further ado, let's take him out and see how he looks. Alright, so here we have first form FRIEZA, and I gotta say, he looks pretty darn nice. Now, I think Tamashii is not gonna remake this guy anytime soon, but they are re-releasing him as I mentioned earlier. So, to further go through with this guy, he stands at a whopping 4¼ inches all the way to the top of his noggin and slightly taller to the top of his horns. So this guy looks pretty darn nice. I have already mentioned that he is a second-hand figure, so he's already been used by, or he was already posed and used by someone else. But I had full confidence that they were able to keep him very nice and clean when it came to the actual figure. But just to look at him, he looks really cool, really good, honestly. He is currently the only first form FRIEZA available in the market, pretty much, especially with the reissue coming out next year. So again, I'm going to be mentioning that a lot. Where is his trademark? Because there is always a trademark. Actually, it is on the space pod, if I remember correctly. Yes. So, the space pod, here it is. You can tell that he is the original one with the four dots on the side over here. So, when the reissue comes out, it's going to be 3 instead of 4. But yeah, now, when it comes to this guy, in terms of aesthetic, he looks really darn good. He does have a couple of things in terms of accessories that we're going to look at later down the line that are very reminiscent of a figure that I just recently looked at. So yeah, in terms of the articulation, to not really waste too much time, he is able to look down this far, which is amazing, absolutely beautiful. Again, that's perfect. And be able to look up about that far, which is again amazing, very good. And then, of course, he can look side to side and rock his head back and forth. Now, that's one thing about this figure. While it is secondhand, some things can become loose. So, again, I'm not too much of a sort of stickler about that because I don't really care. My figures are going to get loose no matter what. But it does allow us to see that he has a ball hinge peg for the neck. So again, probably all I'm gonna have to do is put a little bit of sticky tack on that if I needed to. The shoulder pads are hinges in themselves, so you're able to get his arms all the way high up, very nice, and of course rotate them 100 or 360 degrees all the way around, and of course very nice. So this is not my favorite way of doing shoulder pads, but it's sufficient for this character. Is not as obstructive because he has pretty small arms and the range doesn't go all the way through, so nothing is being blocked for this guy. Even for the butterfly joint, I believe, while he does have a butterfly joint which works pretty good, it is going to be a little weird with the use of the shoulder pads. So you win some, you lose some, and then of course the armor itself doesn't shift, so that does suck a little bit, but not too much of an issue. Now, he does have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, which works fairly nice and looks pretty decent. He does have wrist swivels or forearm swivels, which is nice. Can you focus, camera? Thank you. So he does have the forearm swivel and of course the wrist swivel and the hinge that makes the hand go back and forth. For the torso, that is one thing about this figure as well. I don't know if it's going to be sort of fixed for the reissue or is it going to stay the same. He can lean forward about that far, which is not bad whatsoever, and then lean backward about this far, which is not much, but it works. For the legs, he's able to get about a little bit better than 45-degree angles on the splits, and that can happen. Things can come off so easily if you let them happen, but it didn't break, it just came off in terms of the legs being a little bit loose. Again, secondhand figure, just putting that out there. If you get a brand new one, it might not have these issues, but it might, who knows. Again, also my neck is a little bit moved to the side, so again, I'm working with what I have. Could I have waited for the reissue? Absolutely. But he was, again, too good of a deal not to pass him, especially since he can't complete. So he does have a thigh swivel, and he kicks forward about that far with a little bit of a sideways angle, and backwards this far. Another thing with the legs. So again, do be careful while using him. For the tail, he does have a single hinge tail with a swivel on the back if you want to use that. Very much, it's alright. It's a good use of the tail as well. So for the knees, he does have a double jointed knee, which is awesome. No calf swivel, which kind of sucks, but a hinge for the toes, which works really well. And of course, you can rock them however you want. So this guy has a lot that we've seen already because, of course, he came out much earlier than his other iterations, like the second form, third form, not the fourth form, but also the full power. So now, let's take a look at all of his accessories because he does have a lot, and it's one of the reasons why this guy is very sought after and quite expensive in the US market. So let's take a look at those real quick. Alright, so first things first, I think using the format that I did with King Cold and taking a look at like the main appeal of the figure is more than fair for this guy because they are pretty much the same in terms of like appearances and also the appeal of what you want to get the figure for. So he does come with his one and only space pod, which it is very lightweight actually. Like I'm surprised how lightweight this is. It does feel like it's hollow on the inside, so that's nice of them for doing that because something like this could definitely be extremely heavy and very annoying to handle. And the assembly process is not that hard. So you would have to take his tail off, which makes sense, and then attach it to the tail peg that's on the back. And also you would have to take off his legs for him to actually be able to sit on there. And then the stand that it comes with, which is really nice that it comes with a stand, is able to insert in the bottom pegs over here very easily, and it stays pretty neat. So this is like an insane thing for them to actually do, and something that I really hadn't taken into account when this figure was released. And it's just the ease of use in terms of the actual space pod. This is really nice. Hopefully one day we get something similar with this guy, with a final form Frieza. That would be really nice, like from Dragon Ball Super Broly. That would be absolutely amazing, and I would love that. So again, he looks awesome. His space pod is really nice. So again, very nice with the gold, very nicely painted, even though the paint there is really just the gold. Everything else is plastic, which is fine, but it looks good nonetheless, and I love it. So again, very ease of use, definitely much better compared to King Cold's stupid chair. But yeah, let's take a look at the rest of the accessories and go on from there. Alright, so this was the best way that I could do this. So of course we do have his regular torso over here that you can, again, deattach and put on the actual space pod of his own space pod. And we do have a nice and translucent 5-star Dragon Ball, which is a little dusty, not gonna lie, but let me just clean it real quick. So again, this Dragon Ball is the first Dragon Ball of probably many that I'm going to get when it comes to the Namek saga, which looks really nice. I love the translucent look for it, and I love how you can even see the reflection of everything else that's behind it. Very nicely done. Love it. The one thing is that there's no space for it to actually be put, so I'm putting it right there. Now, he does have the exact same thing that I complained about with King Cold, where he has a different head sculpt. But this head sculpt does actually have a difference between the two. So if I take off the head of this guy real quick, something that you will notice, let me put Peg back in. All right, so just take a look at them real quick and look at the differences. One of them is a lot more expressive. King Cold was not. So a little bit of a jab at King Cold. They had 0 differences between the two, like barely any. Here, you can definitely see it because his eyebrows, or quote unquote eyebrows, are a lot more raised up, which makes a lot of sense because you definitely want this expressiveness for a lot of different scenarios. So again, makes the most sense. And of course, he comes with the nicely sculpted, like, look at these beautiful fireworks face. Absolutely beautiful and amazing. Now we do have another faceplate that would go well with this head sculpt, the eyebrow raised head sculpt, and that is him being mad and also powering up against Vegeta, where he stole the Dragon Balls and the dragon already left. So there's that. Now for the other ones, they do go on the other head sculpt, which makes the most sense. They're more regular face sculpts than anything. So here we have a smiling one, which is very similar to the one that I already had. I don't know if this is a different situation where they're both different, but this one is a little bit more smirky. So that's for sure. I can definitely see the differences in the lips, but besides that, they're pretty much the exact same because I don't know. So, and then we have the angry one where I put the scouter on this one, so the scouter looks nice as well. Very nicely detailed. Love it. But yeah, he looks nice with all the face sculpts on the actual head, and it's very nice. Now, for the hand gestures, he does have a death beam hand gesture, which makes the most sense. Kind of like choosing he's gonna kill. That's only one hand. He does have the Nova death ball type of attack, where he also has the effect that attaches to the finger, which is very nice. And of course, we have 2 sort of grasping hands. Now, I'm very surprised there is no Ki Blast shooting hands, which I think would have definitely topped off this figure very, very well. So yeah, I feel like that's the only thing that's missing out of this whole, like, quote-unquote bundle of figure. So yeah, I guess leading to my final thoughts, I like this guy. He has a lot of accessories. He works very well. Even though he's secondhand, he's still very nicely done, and he works as he should be intended. So a lot of sort of like me still comparing it to the King Cold. A lot of the issues that I have with King Cold, this Frieza doesn't have. Like, for example, he fits nicely in the chair. There's a reason why, like, all his parts work perfectly with the seat that he has. But I guess I'm not going to get too much into that. I could probably make a video of that. So if you want to have a video comparing him and King Cold and how one works but the other one doesn't, let me know. I would love to do that. But yeah, I'm going to give this guy a 9 out of 10 actually. He's a pretty darn good figure, and I think he has held off very well in terms of like the actual sustainability of how figures are coming out nowadays as well. So very nicely done by Tamashii. Very good figure. Absolutely love it. And I'm honestly, if you were to get the reissue, a lot of the things that you probably saw that might have put you off in buying either a second hand or even a new one right now, just wait for the reissue. And a lot of those issues might just not be in that figure. But for me, I wanted to do this review for that specific reason. This figure is amazing. A lot of like the looseness of the joints and everything might be fixed on the reissue, because that's what Tamashii Nations does. For example, the Trunks, he had loose arms and weird legs, but they were fixed on the reissue. they do a lot of fixing behind the scenes that a lot of people do appreciate and sometimes goes unnoticed. So if something in this video put you off for this figure, just wait and see other reviewers in the future. I'm not going to review the reissue because I already have them. There's no need for me to get them. But again, I'm going to reiterate it again. If you would like to get them, just wait for that. But yeah, that is all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this figure. Are you thinking of getting the reissue? Are you not? I would love to know. So besides that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.